Yeah, so we went to a today's your birthday. I think that should be said at the top of the show.
It is the day we're recording this. Yeah, is my
Is this
birthday.
the first birthday since we started doing this?
Uh, we've been doing this for over a year, so we've definitely passed our birthdays.
We've
But
been we've been doing this over a year is a wild sentence for a show that is almost entirely as a secret track for music or because when I listen to music, I want to hear two people vaguely talk about it over top of that music.
oh yeah, definitely. That's the whole plan.
Or and our big members here, our number one subscribers, people who are watching this in between other stuff while they are fast asleep.
Exactly, yeah.
And we want to greet you. But big news, we are dropping a new LP. What do you call it?
Uh, yeah, yeah. Well, I guess EP is what it'd be
EP.
because there's
Okay.
three tracks on it. So,
So we're dropping
uh,
a new EP today.
and very excited
Uh,
about it. Very.
oh wait, I'm sorry. Before we
Oh,
go,
yeah.
forget I said that. Forget it. Don't
It's okay.
don't even remember that I said that.
I would edit it out, but we talked about that last week, how I don't do that.
Yeah, no, it's not. There's a flow to this conversation that we want. Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Brandon.
Start that timer. Okay, there we go.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I do mine now too, just so I have an idea of where we are in time and space, and I'm not like trying to start a new subject on the back end of like 2 minutes. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
So we got a new thing. We got a new project coming out that is done. It's done. Like it's done. That's actually not true. It's not all the way done. We got more videos coming out,
That's right. But
but
actually, yeah, but what's cool about this one is that we'll have like the main we'll have the full album uh out there with kind of the artwork so you can really gaze at the artwork and that kind of thing. But then we also have a lyric video coming out for the first track, and then we'll have more lyric videos coming out for the second track. So yeah, so I guess there's a couple things there. This is I think this is our first thing with lyrics, right? Well,
well,
not technically, but
if you count illegal scam hold music
yeah,
that
that
kind
had
of has
lyrics. Okay.
lyrics,
Yeah.
and there's been some vocalization
Yeah.
in stuff, but this is the first like there are lyrics in this
Yeah.
on purpose. We put lyrics in this on purpose,
Right.
not just like human voice as instrument. There are lyrics that I guess that you're supposed to listen to.
Yeah.
It's all still kind of oh, what's the word? What's the thing I'm looking for? It's when you take stuff that isn't yours. Plunderphonics. There's still like a
Clutter. Yeah.
like major plunderphonics elements in it because we didn't actually. Maybe I feel like every time you're like, oh, you could write something. I'm like, what if I just found something that was
Mhm.
already done that we could just use?
Yeah. Well,
So
in this case, it really worked. So I guess we should probably, talk about kind of what the album is. It's
yeah,
more well, well, it's metal, but I guess the origins of it is you approached me and said, "Hey, I want to do this sludge kind of thing," right? That's kind of where it started. And it's not technically all sludge, but there's because I had to do a little more with that, like I usually do. But but
so
uh, but
yeah,
that's kind of where it originated from.
yeah. So well, one of the things is after we did Zodiac 2, there was
Yeah.
a character that keeps coming up, and it's called the Liminal Saint or Liminal Saints. They were originally supposed to be called Liminal Spaceman. Get it, Liminal Spaceman, but
Hmm.
I didn't want them gendered in any way, shape, or form because
Hmm.
they're kind of just they don't really feel like they have a gender to them,
Hmm.
and they have a visual language of blue skin, painted nails, tattooed hands, and sort of tattooed skin. And if you look directly at the face, it's a liminal space. Conceptually, the idea is I think I had a teacher once, um, and it was a biology teacher, and someone was very very snarkily asked, "Do you believe in God?" Which is just a snarky question to ask a teacher. What is and no teacher wants to. That's such a personal and complex question, and
Yeah.
unless someone opens it up for you, don't do that. But then
Yeah.
the teacher said, "God is who's there when you're alone in the woods."
Mm.
And that phrase has always sort of stuck with me. So the idea for this is these are when if you were to look at I don't know if you were to like look at like a liminal space, like a nighttime
Mm.
space, and like I know we sort of we've run the word liminal into the ground, but the idea of a space between a space and somewhere you're not supposed to be specifically like an empty space that you're not expecting it to be empty.
Mhm. Yeah.
then you were to keep backing up, instead of like seeing more stuff, this is what you would see instead. That is where the
Mhm.
concept sort of is. And they slowly became like more, they're really complex. I think that they're the
Mhm.
most complex stuff I've ever done.
Mhm.
They're incredibly heavy, visually. Like they're visually, they're full of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, one of the reasons we started sending, we had to use like bigger file sends is because
Mhm.
of these guys, because they're so complex.
Yeah.
Uh, and they're fun to make. They're fun to sort of zen out and sort of work on.
Yeah.
But I made, I think, a series of like 4 or 5 between between Saints 1 and Saint no, excuse me, between Zodiac 1 and Zodiac 2, and I was like, I've been bothering you about making metal music forever. So I sent you these and I was like, you want to make a thing? And you were like, yeah, let's make a thing. And we've been
Nice.
working on it since, like, we've been loosely working on it since Zodiac 2. That's how long
Zodiac
the
too.
things have
Yeah.
been in process.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah,
which
because
is,
it started off, because I think it started off, I think the first one actually uh was part of last year's summer project, I think.
yes, I think so.
Yeah. And then we picked up the rest of them, I think, at the beginning of January this year,
Hmm.
I think, somewhere around there. So yeah. So they were kind of lingering in the background for a while, and but I'm really glad they did take a while, and they took a while. You mentioned your density of the artwork, and the music, I think, has more density to it, as well, and to kind of reflect that. And then we added some layers, and then of course, with the mixing and the video and everything like that, ended up, uh, you know taking everything always takes longer than we always think it is going to. That's just
Yeah,
part of like being creative, I think. So
I I think the big example for that one, old, before, especially working with other people, because I think this one we're working with a lot. It's much like
yeah,
illegal scam hold music. We're working with
yeah,
a lot of people on this one.
yeah, exactly.
It's a big number of people that we sort of just keep looping in more and
Mhm.
more people to get more and
Yeah,
more stuff done. Um, but so then I think we were like, oh, what do we do for lyrics? And I just wanted to not write lyrics or
mhm,
have anything written. So we used old poems.
mhm.
I found the first one. You found the second two, right?
Yeah. And they were all they're kind of in the same vein, because I really liked what you had picked. And then actually what I ended up doing was, um, I already had the music all set, and I just sent it to this vocalist that I work with, Joe Sharp, and I just said, hey, why don't you put this together? So he kind of came up with his melody, and um, he rearranged the words, uh,
Hmm.
to make it fit, and I think everything fit together really well. It's kind of a fun project to see everything pull together.
Everything felt on purpose. At first,
Yeah,
we were going to do it in Latin, and then we
yeah,
couldn't make it work in Latin.
yeah.
I have a bad habit of just putting things in Latin for no apparent reason. Before, what are the things I pitched for this one? That it was gonna, the names of the songs were gonna be "Live, Laugh, Love" in Latin.
Mhm.
Because I just can't take anything seriously for too long. And someday we're
Yeah,
gonna do "Live, Laugh, Love" in Latin for
yeah,
something, just because it
we
makes
are.
me.
Yeah.
But we rearranged the song, we rearranged it, and then you sent it to me, and then I was like, "Cool, what if we made it more complicated still?"
Mhm.
And uh, then we added movie quotes to the second song.
Yeah.
That was towards the back end,
Mhm.
which I think really kind of worked out in our favor. I spent a long time looking for movie quotes, and then we ended up going with "Bucket of Blood" yet again,
Yeah.
public domain.
Which
I,
was again a great choice. Yeah, because it's weird. I mean, we sort of talked about this as we were working on it, because I guess the other thing that's different about this, with Zodiac, like some, I guess this is always with our side projects, is we have a little more communication.
mm,
With Zodiac, we have our rules set up and we don't communicate, but we communicate a little bit more with this. But that movie, like I was just, when you sent it to me, I was just entranced, with it. It's just such a I don't like it's one of those old movies that like I wouldn't even call it a good movie, but it's just something that sort of like is it's just entrancing, it's like
You
because
will
it's got
get
all these. Yeah, go.
you will get lost in it. It's a movie
Yeah,
that's easy to just like, and like it's kind of fun. Like that's the other thing. Is I feel like it's sort of poking fun at ourselves with the like
exactly. Yeah,
artness of that we don't talk and
right.
yada yada, and like, and it's sound. What I like about it in it is it sounds real serious, and then if
Hmm.
you were to like go to the actual movie, it's pretty stupid. Like it's a
Yeah,
stupid movie. The movie's
yeah.
stupid. It's
Hmm.
one of the Weekend Warriors. So is Little Shop, where they
Hmm.
made it. They like had a set, and they're like, I don't know, write something, write something. Let's just get it done.
Huh.
Um, but yeah, I didn't. So at first, we were like, oh, we should add something from like a movie about dragons or
Yeah.
about vampires. But
Hmm.
it felt like that the explanation was too on top of each
Yeah.
other, and there was no stretch. And like
Hmm.
that stretch is always something that's very interesting for me and very like important
Hmm.
to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you have to, if you look at something and you immediately understand why it's next to it, there's it's very you don't want it so disparate that there's no, it's just random and who cares. But
Yeah.
you want there to be some level like, well, why are these things together?
Hmm.
And I think that creates a more interesting thought process than like, oh well, it's about zombies, so we put Night of the Living Dead. That was actually one of my big rules, is we couldn't
Yeah.
use Night of the Living Dead
Right.
because I just think it's been done to death.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well, yeah, and it incorporated that movie in particular. I think incorporates a lot of the ideas that we've talked about, both online and offline. About art and what it means. But you're right. It's like it kind of reminds. I mean, not that it, it kind of reminds you not to take yourself too seriously. I think.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and it's because it does like it like there are some ideas in there that I like you and I have talked about and taken very seriously. We
Yeah.
take our art very seriously and all that stuff, and the ideas and the philosophies and that kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like, okay, yeah, just take a step back, and it's okay. Don't take yourself too seriously. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's just we're still on one big rock going around the sun.
right,
Calm down a little bit.
exactly.
And then
Mhm.
the third song is about
Mhm.
dragons.
Mhm.
And the end of that song was, I think that was the biggest and longest, excuse me, discussion we had,
Yeah.
was how that song ends.
Mhm.
Um, and one of the things that the end of that song is the sound of fire, and it dissolves, and
Mhm.
you really hang out for a little bit. You want to talk about that at all, Andrew, or do you just want to let other people have guesses?
Yeah, I think for that everyone should have their own interpretation, I think, of that one. Yeah.
And there's one other thing about that. So yeah, but it was a process of bringing other people in. I know
Mhm.
there's a female voice in that. Who is the lady voice of that? Do you know?
Um in the last one?
Isn't that
Oh,
am I mixing my stuff up?
yeah. Well, actually, like Joe did all the vocals for it.
Oh,
But yeah, so yeah, one of the things that people will hear
Joe has a
vocally
great
is that,
lady voice.
yeah, one of the things that people hear vocally is that there's a lot of different like it sounds like a lot of different characters, a lot of different
Yeah,
voices, because sometimes he's growling, sometimes he's singing, sometimes he's got this like Chris Cornell vibe, and uh and um and then also on top of that, in certain places we put a lot of effects on it, so there's some reverb, there's some demonic stuff, and that kind
yeah,
of, so there's a lot of different like characters, I guess you could say, within it, which was fun to kind of work with. um and I also, before I forget, because I want to make sure this is in there, but in the second one, in the middle, where
uh,
it gets all chaotic and
yeah,
crazy. So that was like such a fun part to record, because it sounds so chaotic and terrible, intentionally, and it was one of those things like that was really weird recording it, because I knew the way I wanted to sound, and like I literally like re-recorded myself at least a dozen times, because like I was trying to get like the right kind of chaos with it,
mm-hmm.
and it was just such it was so weird, because like I was like, wait, okay, all right, it sounds chaotic, but it's not exactly the right one. And it was just so weird because, you know, normally if I'm re-recording, I'm trying to get something to sound like really perfect, you know.
Mhm.
In this case, I was trying to get it to sound perfect, but in this like really chaotic way. It was a really interesting recording experience.
And then to end it, I would like to talk about the beginning, which is the thing.
Yes.
Spent I think it was like the most foot down I've been for a long time
Mhm.
about anything.
Yeah.
Uh, because the whole thing starts with this next song is about werewolves,
Yeah.
and I saw Joe, the guy
Mhm.
or the vocalist for this piece. I saw Joe do a metal show at a local like spot
Mhm.
at least more than like a decade and a half ago at this point,
Mhm.
like forever ago. And he started a song with "Just so you know, this next song is about werewolves." And then we were like, "Oh, we should use Joe." And I was like, I have to write a song about werewolves.
Yeah.
Like we have to make not write, but we have to build a song about werewolves.
Mhm.
And he has to go, "Just so you know, this next song is about werewolves."
Yeah.
Like it was the most like it has to do this. And then he cursed in it, and that was fine. And then there's a joke in it, and that's great because like it's one of the things about the Saints. Oh, that's our time.
Mm.
We can finish the idea.
Yeah.
One of the things about the Saints is it's supposed to be like a balance of like we're silly, but we're
Yeah.
kind of trying to take it seriously, but
Mhm.
also we can't quite keep a straight face.
Mhm.
Uh, but it was a thing where any obscenity in art, because of the pieces I work on, uh, I always bleep them out, and that's like
Yeah.
a note I keep every time Andrew like tries to put a curse in art. I'm like, what if we did? What if we put like a bleep there?
Yeah.
And every time Andrew goes, I don't know. And then this has now happened twice, just so
Yeah.
you know. You're like, I don't know. And I was like, just do it, just to see if you like it. And immediately, and I don't know if you're doing this to be nice to me, you're like, actually, I really like it when you bleep it out. It's funny or upsetting. Uh, and
It is.
then
No, I'm
like,
not just being nice. It really is. Like it actually it makes the piece better. It really
yeah,
does. Yeah.
I think this is just my opinion. It's always funny to bleep. Like you should
Mhm.
always bleep. I think it's always a better choice to bleep out
Yeah.
because it's just because you know what those words are.
Yeah.
But the sound is so much stranger
It is.
that and like it's the best it's one you saw the Barbie movie, right?
Oh, not yet. Not yet. Not yet. No
Okay.
spoilers. No spoilers.
I guess I don't know if it's a spoiler that they
Yeah.
bleep a little bit.
Yeah.
That's
That makes sense. Yeah, for Barbie. Yeah.
spoiler, I guess. There's
Okay.
bleep. But I do think uh censorship is
Mhm.
bad. Bad.
Yeah.
But if used correctly, there's something profoundly interesting about it that
Yeah.
isn't it's more interesting to hear censorship than it is to actually like hear it sometimes because your
Mhm.
brain will fill in weirder sounds.
Yeah, and I think that's something that that I've learned from you. I think because and you know, if people don't know us, they're probably thinking like we're like Puritans or something like that. But I mean,
Brandon
I
never
mean, like
I've
when you
never cursed.
right, yeah, like, I mean, if you go to a Brandon Gorin show, a comedy show, you know, you're going to hear a lot of cursing. You know, just
I'm
yeah,
full of obscenity,
yeah,
like terrible obscenity, while
exactly,
staring people in the eye.
yeah.
But
So just so everyone's clear, like we're not bleeping out bad stuff,
oh
you know,
yeah,
but
I'm a grown boy. I can say curse words. Just so you
yeah,
know, I can say the F word.
that's right.
I
But
could.
but you're right. Like you've really introduced that idea to me, I think, of it makes sense artistically to censor it because it does. Like I immediately when I heard it, I was like, oh, that's funny. You know,
Yeah.
it just makes it so much more lifelike, I think. Yeah.
I also think for me, and we'll end on this.
Yeah.
It's whenever making art, one of the tricks. You know, there's that thing that people do where they make fun of like drawing books, where it's like, we're draw a circle, draw three circles,
Mhm.
uh, add eyes,
Yeah.
and then it's like a finished mouse, and it's like add detail. But like details is detail and texture will get a lot done if you're real good. You can sometimes get away with slick, but if you don't know what you're doing,
Mhm.
continuing like adding detail and texture will get so much like
Mhm.
out of a piece that you don't normally have.
Mhm.
So, and you know, only go like 15 minutes. That should be about enough. I gotta get going. I gotta get to work.